Good evening. We're here.
Yes,
You're here. Welcome. Thank you for joining us here on Dead Air.
Yeah,
Dead Air. What's the rest of it?
Full spectrum.
Full spectrum.
Yeah.
Dead Air, full spectrum.
That's
Sorry
catchy.
about that.
That's catchy.
I'm really tired today. We had a long day.
You should be. You got about 4 hours sleep, and then you worked
4
all
hours
day.
sleep.
Then you did yard work in 2 different places.
We went out to clean cemeteries because we're both members of the Johnston Historical Society, and that's my favorite hobby. Want to see a picture of one of the stones?
Yes, it's really more than raking, cool. I'll tell you.
This is a stone that's broken in about 1 million pieces.
Oh, yeah.
Here's a beautiful stone from 1807. I just thought I'd throw those on there, let you know why I'm so tired. And it's not a glamorous job.
No, I was saying, is this the same person? Wow.
He dared me to show that.
What about you have a picture of the moon someplace?
Oh, well, that's a different thing. But yes, I have a picture of the moon I took on the way here tonight because it is a beautiful full moon. I believe it is entirely full.
That's a bad moon rising, yeah.
But I was just going to go to the comments here and say hello to some of the people who are watching. I see we have about 10 people watching so far.
Oh, I can't see them.
Well, they're not there. They're just watching us.
I'm looking for names.
Oh, my goodness.
I want to know everybody, yes.
So, in case you don't know already, this is Carl Johnson. I'm Elise Giamacco Carlson. We are Panorama Paranormal. We do investigations, we learn things, we read things, we are just students of life.
Yeah, students of
and students of death, maybe.
We could say yes. In fact, not all our guests are live. We're live now, but I don't know if all our guests will be as we go along.
And I brought up what we did today, being so tired from cleaning the cemeteries. We have over 100 historic cemeteries just in a little town of Johnston. Mm-hmm. There are 3,000 in Rhode Island. And a lot of people, when they start an investigation, or they should when they start an investigation, want to know a little bit more about the history of either the house, the area, find out who lived in the house, who may be talking to them, who could be, opening and shutting their cabinets. The best thing you can do is join your local historical society. I guarantee that you will go in there to ask one question and say, what do you know about this house on Main Street? Who lived there? Did you ever hear any stories of things being haunted there? I will bet you that you will stick around because I know Ken likes to say you can't have the hauntings without the history. It's so true.
I thought that up.
I don't. Ken
no, it's probably
Ken told me that first.
Well, you probably heard it from me.
No, it's probably. I think you'll have a new understanding and a new appreciation for these places that we're going to. A lot of them are old, and if they're not old, you know what? I mean, everybody says, "Oh, it was built on an Indian burial ground." Oh, we're in New England. Everything was Indian burial ground. Actually, in the United States, everything.
Yeah, I know. We are an Indian burial ground.
Down to Mexico.
This house was built on an Indian burial ground.
Pretty hard to find a place that is not.
Yeah.
So,
and you don't have that awful disappointment that you sometimes get when you join a paranormal group, like Show Me the Ghosty. I didn't see any ghost. I'd never seen a ghost. I saw a cabinet door. It might have swung open. But if you're a member of a historical group, you're there for the history. It's fascinating on its own. The houses, the structures, the yards, the graveyards, they have their own ambiance.
And in saying that, I mean, we spend a lot of time in cemeteries, whether it's just raking and doing general landscaping, which gets a little tedious, but then sometimes you find one that you have to clip your way through and you find stones that haven't been seen in 200 years.
Like your find.
Yeah. You made me lose my train of thought.
Sorry, I'm boasting about you.
I must admit to you that I spend all these days in cemeteries, sometimes alone, sometimes it's just one or two of us. It's always pretty quiet, except for the machines.
Mm-hmm.
I've never heard a voice that doesn't belong to anyone live and well.
Why do paranormal investigators frequent cemeteries, at least when
I
they're
really
new?
don't know. Some say that they hear things, see things. I'm not known for, having any of those abilities to perceive those things, but I don't know.
Yeah, this Connecticut's Union Cemetery is supposed to be very haunted.
I've been to many, many cemeteries that are supposed to be very, very haunted and still haven't seen a thing. But still, like in any investigation, you go in, and you treat the people just as you would a living person. Hello, I'm here to work. It's going to get a little noisy. So you run the weed whacker, you run the leaf blower, you get everything done, and you say, hope you like the place. Just once I want to hear somebody say thank you. That would really be, it'd be like a crossover episode, bringing my two worlds together. It would be awesome.
It could be done. You might get more volunteers for the cemetery cleanup. There was a paranormal touch to it.
Yes. Well, we have many more people joining us right now. We have Investigator, author. Hi, George. Maria Wilson Duff. We have Sarah Yusuf. We have Victoria Monday. Denise Mpe. Yeah. Denise, no, I'm so far so good. A lot of times people will call us when there's something wrong in the cemeteries. They call to complain, but nobody has said anything about any caskets floating up to.
Well, it has happened in Rhode Island.
It has happened in Rhode Island. You want to tell that story about Slater Mill?
Oh, yes. Well, there was a terrific flood in Rhode Island in 1955. Hurricane Diane struck 2 weeks after Hurricane Carol, and it flooded Precious Blood Cemetery up on a hill in Woonsocket. And it flooded the western embankment so severely that coffins were washed out of their graves, literally, and went down the embankment and were borne away by the Blackstone River, which had overflowed. Flood level is 9 feet, and this was about 12 feet at that time. And it took the coffins away. And I don't know why the number 55 comes up a lot, because this was 1955. There were 55 coffins that were loosed from their graves. And to this day, there are coffins reinterred in their graves. In some graves, nobody knows if they're in the proper graves, and there's nothing anybody can do about it. One of those coffins went down the Blackstone River and went into the channel that's called the Raceway. They used to power the mill with water power. Went into the Slater Mill Raceway and was found there. The last body was recovered in 1968 from that. Skeletal remains in a coffin. And it's going to happen again. It's just inevitable. I don't know if they'll lose coffins like they did. But...
I'm surprised we didn't see anything floating down Route 95 the other day.
Yeah, wow. One single little coffin. And there's so many stories about that, anecdotal but true.
Yeah. So while we're waiting for our guest to join us, I want to remind you to subscribe. Hit that subscribe button if you're on YouTube to Dead Air Full Spectrum, since Ken is nice enough to help us run this show here.
Couldn't do it without him. Not comfortable.
I'm learning. He's been a good teacher. Yes. So he'll show me the way. Let me see.
Yeah, well, you're finding the connection and logging in. I'm usually looking for my eyeglasses. Under something.
I'm not that much better.
You're great.
I really didn't know how to connect. Hello, Joe Chin.
Wow.
Those eyes.
Yes, look at that
picture.
Looks right through you.
I don't think you naturally have blue eyes somehow.
Depends on his mood.
Those are contact lenses.
Whenever he becomes angry or enraged.
Live streaming cleaning a cemetery. That would be exciting. We get really, really dirty.
I don't think it'd draw too many viewers unless if we. Now, for
years.
Special feature, an exhumation we're hoping for. It depends on how far down we go. But it's usually just clean and keep doing. You were fantastic today. You have a skill. You've learned it. You've honed it. But
it's called scrubbing. I'm a mom.
Yeah, that will do it. You're so self-deprecating.
No matter what you scrub, it comes out clean. It's a lot of work.
Oh, I brought some show and tell, just briefly. This is my wand. Not a magic wand, but it's I guess inferred magic, but since it is a full moon tonight, and the peak will be sometime after midnight, I'm going to set this out to absorb the rays of the moonbeams, the full moon, and it will charge my wand. It's all association, but it's kind of neat. Spirits like the bells.
The bells, the bells, the bells, the bells, the bells.
The bells, the bells.
You're not gonna. Stop reciting Poe, are you?
I can, but that takes up, that'll block out our guest so much. Yes. Wait a minute, one more stanza. Just let me do one more stanza. Speaking of our guest, is she at the ready? Or, we can keep talking about her. Maybe you won't even hear
I can tell a little bit about our guest. As you've all seen online, we have Christine Downs, who I met for the first time to really sit down and talk to a few weeks ago at Ocean State Paracon.
Yeah, you hadn't before.
No, before that, I'd always just been a hello, how are you? Good to see you. And, we've both been busy. And we actually got to sit down and talk and did not talk about anything paranormal, parapsychological, metaphysical at all. I mean, we just talked like a couple of girls.
Really? I saw you over there
Yes.
chatting. I didn't know, I thought you were talking all kinds of mysteries
There's
and
Christine in
explorations.
the chat.
Yeah, she's
Ken?
yeah. Well, she's confirmed that she's present, that she's here. She didn't stand us up.
Let me see. Was I supposed to send her the link, Ken? It's telling me I'm such a
such a whiz, but you learn quick.
No, because she's in the chat.
She's in the chat room. She's
just
what it says is waiting to come on, waiting to enter studio, so she can handle that.
So hopefully we can see that in a couple of minutes.
Yeah, that's her volition when she comes in.
Looking for the camera. Okay, very good. It was in the PM. All right, so she's looking for the camera and getting that set up. But we did just, have a great afternoon chatting. Mm-hmm. We were just, people watching and having a good time. So when I, learned a little bit about what she does, not from talking to her, but seeing, her promoting her business as a metaphysical medium, of course, I was like, wow, I would love to sit down and talk to her. And what better place to sit down and talk to someone than with a bunch of friends who also may have questions, may want to learn a little bit more about what Christine does, because I find it very intriguing. I don't seem to have any, is there anything I can help you with, Christine? I'm not that good myself. Ken might be the man to help you with those difficulties.
Yeah, she said you had to actually get her camera set up, so that'll take a couple of minutes.
Yeah. So I've taken courses in developing abilities, and I understand, the history of, well, not the history of people who have abilities, that transcends centuries and millennia and cultures. And, there were so different, many different types and whatever. But to sit and speak to someone who, I asked, the one thing I did ask is, how did you decide to do this? And she said, I didn't, it chose me. Now I'm really intrigued. So
I'm intrigued by what she means when she's called labels herself metaphysical medium. There's something more to that. I like it very much. It has a ring to it.
Yes.
Now, there have always been individuals who are supposedly, are gifted, and they are able to communicate with other realms, other dimensions, spirit world, those who have gone before. And boy, I have so many mixed opinions about that. There are very few commonalities when it comes to mediums, because they're individuals. Everybody's experiences are different. But we wonder what Christine receives, because I do have a few questions for her.
Yes, definitely. And I'm going to put my little side chart up here again, because I have said it before. What I study is parapsychology, and that is mostly things that are caused by or received by people living or dead, basically. So ESP, PK, and survival. Different people I have seen believe that what they are receiving or what they can do, it falls under different realms. Where, say, one person who can do psychometry, you hand her a rock, and they can know if that rock is from Pennsylvania, or if it's from Hawaii, or if it was used to build a house, or if it was found on a beach. I mean, I find that totally interesting. Mm-hmm. Other people can receive messages, and from where, from whom. These are the kinds of questions I'd like to ask Christine.
Yes, and it's such a subjective discipline. It largely relies on what the medium or the psychic person is telling you, and we are, out of politeness, expected to listen and accept that. That's kind of costly.
Well, I mean, when you think about it, that is how all investigations begin, with a report of some anomalous experience. Right. And when you really think about it, that is how science works. Why would you be looking into something if it hasn't happened to somebody?
Start off with a report, follow with a supposition, and then follow up as much as you can.
Right. So those initial initial reports are all made by people. And there are many things to consider when you consider the report from that person. Not only is that person being truthful, which that's a big one. But where's that person coming from? everything about that person is going to influence what their perspective is on what they heard, what they saw, what they felt, what they think is going on. So you always have to, I don't want to say take it with a grain of salt, because, you know, people can be totally believe in what they're saying. They can believe in what they think they saw. Maybe it wasn't that way. I think we need many different ways of looking at those reports. So some of those could be, you know, people have their electronic machines that measure energy or listen for sounds, or you've got video cameras. I mean, basic tools like that. A medium, I believe, if you have a medium that, I don't want to say has proven herself, because that just sounds so judgmental, but one that you trust is reporting exactly what she hears, sees, feels. That becomes a human tool in your investigation. And I believe when you use these tools, you can, hey, I think I see Christine. When you use these tools, human or machine, you can compare what you're getting with each other's results.
Perhaps it
and
doesn't
come up
need,
with a
yeah.
fact.
Maybe it doesn't need to be proven, you know?
Yeah, I use prove in, you know, I don't mean prove overall. Why are we
Right.
all still here doing this? Because nobody's proven a darn thing.
Good point.
That's why we're all still here. Hi, Christine.
Oh,
Hi.
There she is.
Are you sorry for the delay?
That's okay. You know,
The
we can
camera
sit
was working. I'm like, wait, why can't I see me?
here.
we can see you now. You're enshrouded in darkness somewhat, but that makes you all the more intriguing.
Yeah, you
you know?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, why is that doing all that funky stuff behind me?
We're almost too illuminated, overly illuminated.
Yeah,
Right.
we're gonna work on getting a different background. As it was just a busy couple of weeks, so we have.
Are you both standing? You're not
No,
sitting?
we're both sitting. Yeah.
Oh, you are sitting.
He's on a taller stool. He didn't want me to be higher than him.
No, come on. You know, people are paying enough attention.
I said, "Be comfortable." He's like, "I'm fine."
They almost forget I'm here when you're on anyway. So I got.
Oh.
No, I couldn't. Otherwise, I'd be down like this. I tried it. You know.
Well,
I
I
want
heard
to show before
I
we
heard
go
a
on.
little
I
bit
want to show
about.
Christine. Look, Christine, I have my wand with me. I do
Your
have a wand.
wand.
I like to think of myself as a catholicist, an objective demonologist, not a religious demonologist. But look what I have.
You're a wizard, Harry.
This makes me ashamed
Oh,
right there. I'm so ashamed of this. But look,
Oh.
see,
wow.
it
Look
has
at that.
bells and everything. And
Wait,
I am
did
going
you
to put that outside for the night to be charged, if you will, absorb the moonbeams. And it's all, to me, it's all allegorical and associational, but it's cool nonetheless.
Where did you get that?
From a South American lady who made this, and I was in touch with her. And I found her shop online, and she hand makes them, and she has intent. She intends that they will be powerful while she's fashioning them. She learned this craft from her father, and I debated like for years, should I get a wand? I'd seen one that was so beautiful at a psychic fair one time in Oxford, Connecticut, and I said, "Oh, I want that. I don't have the $200, or I'd get that right now." But you know, eventually, I did.
Wow.
This has carnelian and smoky quartz crystal, and I've had this outside under a total solar eclipse, many lunar eclipses. You know, the lore of this wand for me personally is that if I resolve upon an objective, an intent, if I'm holding or regarding the wand at all while I decide this, while I resolve, I have to follow through on it, or it will lose its power of association. You know, or I have to find a close substitute.
It begs one question: does it work?
Well, it doesn't cast spells. Or this is the sending. This is the receiving. Does it work? No.
Purple feather.
Yeah, you have a beautiful
Can
purple
you turn
feather.
me into a hobbit?
Yeah.
Got better.
This has been a lot of interesting places, you know, magical places, haunted places.
Oh, so Christine, I'm so glad you could join us. It was kind of awkward sitting here talking about you, knowing you're watching me.
Yeah, I thought by now we'd still be talking about you, and you know.
I heard parts of it.
Honestly, I don't know that much to tell about you. Like that day we were sitting there chatting, we were having a grand old time. We didn't talk about anything paranormal.
No, we
Yeah, I mean, you
didn't.
can talk, you converse it without talking about the psychic stuff, right?
Yes, yes. Well,
Well,
she
people
was.
watch.
I was kind of eavesdropping on her conversation with my brother Joe that day. So,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
I didn't know her very well. And in normal circumstances, like being out there, if I don't know you too well, I'll
Yeah.
shy away for a little bit.
she's
And
worth
then,
getting to know. She's a
yes,
very
yes,
interesting person, very
yes.
intelligent, very perceptive.
Well, thank
Uh,
you.
Has keen insight.
Well,
keen
that's, I
insight.
mean, to jump right into the subject, that's one of the things that, I love doing on investigations is I'm just so, I don't want to sit here and say, I'm scientific. I don't really have a good imagination and I don't seem to be able to develop any kind of abilities, but that's not a bad thing for an investigation. It doesn't mean, oh, she's so scientific, she can get to the facts. No, it means I see things this way. Then someone else comes along that has these
Yeah.
kinds a different way of looking at things.
Right.
And we can both be looking at the same thing and we can talk about
Yes.
what we both
Make
see and
more of a
compare
complete
notes.
picture.
And
Yeah.
Right.
I think it works better that way.
I think at
I
least,
agree.
yeah, I think Elise intuits without being an intuitive, if you know what I mean. We all have a kind of a computer in our mind and it collates and takes in data, forms a picture or concept. And, sometimes that comes across as ESP or intuition. It's really intuition in a pure sense that we're just looking at all the data and our mind forms it for us.
Right.
But
And
yeah,
I, I think everybody, like they say, we all have that ability. It's just a matter of like if you get tapped into it somehow, whether it's through paranormal investigation, and if you have a clear and open mind, like for Elise, she just might be not paying attention to everything around her. Does that make sense?
That
But
does
she had,
make sense.
if she keened on, and I bet you she could
you've
develop
answered
it.
my first question. Like, can people develop and hone the skill? Can, virtually anybody do it if they're open to it?
Yes, I think if you have an open mind, because they say that in science and medical fields about your brain, there's so
Yeah.
much that's there, and it's amazing what a brain can do.
It
Those
is.
wires in your head, the
Oh,
neurons.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the problem with this thing. I'm a little ADD, I think, and I'll start learning about, like you said, the mind can do anything. So I start learning a little bit about the brain. Like, wow, that's so interesting. That'll lead to learning about nutrition, and then that'll
Yeah.
lead to learning about.
Exactly.
Now it's yoga.
It
Now
opens
that's
doors.
what my
Yes.
interest is yoga and cities and the extraordinary powers that these yogis develop. Sounds an awful lot like psi. So
Right.
you start, comparing things.
Mhm.
But yeah, I digress quite often.
Well, it's a fascinating subject. We can't help but go on about it.
But what I wanted
Or
to ask you,
subjects.
Christine, since you recognize this in yourself, how did that come to be? What was that beginning?
Okay. Most of it started when I joined the TAPS home team. This goes back until, let's see, I think 2000 and I want to say 2009. I was a TAPS member, and that just opened up my just learning from everybody around me.
Yeah.
It led me to met people like Carl Johnson and Tiffany Rice, and at big events. And one day, Tiffany's walking by the table. Now, I had been part of the investigation in TAPS for some time, and it was always a cross by, just like you and I. We always just crossed by each other and not really talked. And she just kind of stopped dead track and she just said, I need to talk to you. We had a little bit of a conversation, and all of a sudden she started giving, like, her eyes started going weird. And she's looking at me, and I said, what's the matter? She's like, can I just give you a reading? So she gave me a reading,
Really?
and and she brought my mother in. So of course, during the whole reading, I was distraught. She could feel what she was telling me at the time that I didn't know about was chakras. My chakras was all disaligned. She wanted to make me feel better. So she took me into the ladies' room, and we excused ourselves because there were other ladies in there.
Yeah.
And she did this alignment. And from that moment on, I don't know if that was the case, but it felt like all the worries and everything I ever worried about, having suffered the loss of my mother, all that stuff just kind of went away. And next thing you know, I started feeling like everything, like all my senses just woke up. And then it just grew after that. Being with Joe, being on investigations, learning from people, listening, and just really trying to hone in. I wanted this. Um, all my life, I believe now that from what I know now, that I was always an empath because
Right.
being a child, I felt everybody's feelings. I had 10 brothers and sisters,
Wow.
and it was always wild because it was always emotional. And
Oh
I was
yeah, that's
always
a lot of empathing.
right.
It
It,
has
it
to be
was
with.
And you don't realize that other people don't feel that way when you're a
right.
kid. You think everybody's
Exactly.
thinking this.
Good point. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And but it was strange. One thing it was Tiffany. I gotta say, she worked with me for a little while because I had so many questions for her. I said, "Is this the reason why this was happening? I was seeing things, hearing people's voices that weren't mine, emotions." And she's like, "Yeah." She's like, "You're gifted." And I was like, "What?" So she's my white lighter. That's what I call her.
Wow.
And then I joined forces with Rosalind and Michael Lewis,
Mhm.
another couple out there. They're my family,
Aw.
and they just brought out that beautiful peace inside of me. That wanted to help people
Mm.
and get through all this, especially with readings, because they don't know how to. What's the word? Some people don't know how to use their feelings and emotions when they're grieving,
Mhm.
and I think sometimes when that happens, spirits linger because they can feel the emotion around people who still need them, per se.
People don't know how to channel that emotion or direct it, and
Yeah,
it becomes chaotic and consumptive.
right,
And yeah, it's tough when you lose a loved one and you don't want to release that whole.
right.
They still seem so close to you because
Yes,
they were
yeah,
days or weeks before around you.
yeah,
And yeah, I know that feeling. And I don't know if that holds a spirit back, or if that is something that brings us closer to them. Because I had somebody who was very close to me. I was very close to her, and she departed us very suddenly. And I kept getting the calls. What happened? What happened? It was
right.
actually morbid curiosity. But I and others had signs from her. Now, if I told all the signs, I think most uh, psychically inclined people would say, "Oh, how can you doubt? She's trying to get through to you. You've got all these signs."
That would be
I,
me.
yeah, I doubt, like you, Christine. I doubt because I wanted to so much. I wanted to believe that.
Right.
But it seems she was near us that first week, and then we didn't hear from her the same way. Except a colleague of mine went to her gravesite at night with a recording, and she had a very distinctive voice. And he said, "Carl, go to my website. You've got to hear this." And I listened to it. I said, "Yeah, that's Laura's voice. That's her." And still, I wonder, but it was her voice. Some people would have theories that it's like some kind of dark, malevolent spirit being an imposter, but that doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, a lot in this realm doesn't.
No, I
That's not what
just
I
think
think.
that when a spirit first passed, now just
Yes.
imagine now I don't know if they really know if they're dead. And then they're walking around. Now they're just in their house, like going about their business kind of thing, checking up on people, still not realizing that they're past. And at the same time, though, this is what I mean about having an open mind, being able to see two different sides. On the other side, you want to think of that person is making sure before they cross over that everybody in the family is okay.
Right.
So, you know, one thing I think be possible, anything's possible. It's
Yeah.
spirits, it's energy.
That would explain a lot of deathbed visitations, and or
Hmm.
when somebody has passed recently,
Yep.
or so many accounts. I'll just generalize and say, um, usually it's a woman who writes this down or, shares it. And she sees at the foot of her bed, sees her mother or her uncle, someone close to her. And he looks very peaceful. And he says, even without words, says, I just want to let you know I'm all right. It's okay. And then they're gone.
Yep. My mother was she was in hospice, and when you normally put a patient in hospice, they say they don't last longer than a week.
Right.
My mother lasted for 9 days until every one of us that was
Oh, wow.
in the family there in the room and present. And that's when she decided that she was going to go.
Yeah.
Maybe that was when she felt it was her time.
Yeah.
Similar with my mother. She was in hospice. She, I believe, was in hospice for 4 days. And that was agonizing to watch. But she wasn't alone. She was, we were with her.
Oh.
And, I think it is better that she went. She lived to be 94. I was hoping she'd live to be 95. But that was just in the brink of, the COVID onslaught, the pandemic.
Oh.
Now, if she had lasted another 6 months, had lived another 6 months, they wouldn't have let us see her. They would have diagnosed her with COVID, even if she didn't have that.
She would have been locked up in a nursing home.
Yes.
And
some of that.
she could not have comprehended that. I don't think I could.
No, I would have been fighting.
Yeah.
I would have been fighting it. God forbid. Thank God like that. That didn't happen.
So, it was one of those things that you look back and it's like, well, I guess it was time because, like you said, if it happened later, that would have been terrible to spend all that time alone first.
Yes.
You have to wonder about so many of these people that happened to during COVID, that they had to spend all this time alone and then they passed alone when they didn't want to.
I know.
And
that's horrible
for the hospice nurse. I've learned a lot about, just her experiences.
Right.
And she said, a lot of people do wait till, as many people that they want to see. They seem to get better for a day before they pass. Right. Everybody has a good feeling about them and then they go. But some other patients don't want anybody there. They don't want anybody to experience it. But what if you did want everybody there and you were blocked from having everybody there? That must have been a terrible transition.
It's happened too often.
Too sad. Very sad.
Yeah, I always felt bad about that.
Well, I think we're going to extend our show to 2 hours because we have Christine and we have questions.
Okay.
We want you to tell your story, of course.
You've got questions? Like what?
Boy.
When people come to you, are they mostly looking to contact someone who has passed, or do you have other requests that people are, am I going to meet Prince Charming? What do people look for when they ask for a reading from you?
My first reading was way back in a couple of years ago, and it was just a matter we advertisement and they brought an object. I always tell somebody bring an object. The second event I've ever done is when the first time coming out with this really is when I wanted to do my business is when I saw you at Ocean State. So the only experience I have people coming up to me are my women from the salon, and they've asked me to do readings, and it's just a matter of who do you feel, or can you read this, or can you do this? I was testing out my abilities and trying to build my confidence, and everybody was trying to tell me. So I arranged, when I was going back for my hair appointment, I said to to the hairdresser, tell everybody to bring an object in, but I don't want to know who the object is from. And I'll just do what I do, hold it and do it. And I was surprised. It still surprises me to this day that when I do my readings, that it's on target. They've verified it. With validations. And that day, the one last day that they did that was that day. And I read exactly, and it matched everybody.
Oh, wow. That'll give you confidence to go forward.
Yes. And that was when I said to you, I think I said this to you through Messenger, I never thought I was going to do this. I just thought this was just something I was going to keep to myself,
Right, because the things we talked about, other things you've done in life, and I used to work here, I used to work there. It's just normal.
It's kind of tough to keep that, to yourself and not share it with anybody when you have this ability and you want to tell people. Well, you had to make that decision. You had to come to that crossroad and decide you were going to come out about it, tell people.
Well, you know how that is. Any of us that had come out with a new ability. Like they're saying, where is this girl coming from? She hasn't done this at all. And that's what
Yeah.
I like about it, because it's taken me this long. It's been 13 years in the making that I've been
Oh,
going through this. And it's just recently, like just this year, time to go. You have to help people. You're out there to make people feel better and understand the reasons why things happen. And as small or as big, whatever, I'm there. You want me, you need me. I'm there to
Now,
help.
what about people who don't ask for your help? Are things just like kind of, this is kind of this in a different words. Things come to you, like,
Yes.
you happen to be sitting there talking to Colin, you're like, oh no, and
Yep.
you're thinking something. How do you handle that?
At
would you be
first,
honest and tell me?
um, it, I don't. I try not to break that bond. I don't want to. What's that word I'm trying to use here?
Simpatico.
Uh,
You mean a bond
the
of trust or
boundary.
reliance or
Yeah, like I don't want to just
confidentiality?
there you go, thank you. I don't want to just infringe on your space and just say,
Hmm.
hey, unless I'm always told to never break that cardinal rule. Someone has to give you permission first. And
Yeah,
I
Right.
like that rule,
yeah.
because that to me that's someone like just poking in someone else's personal space. So I've learned to shut my mouth unless it was something where I felt that Carl needed to hear that at that moment.
Right.
Then
Could make a difference. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
really. Oh,
I've done
that's
that to people in
interesting.
stores, like the Long
Really?
Island Medium. I'm walking around and I'm like, "Oh, excuse me, can I tell you something?" They're like, "Oh, here comes the crazy lady. Okay, what do you got to tell me today?" But
Oh my goodness.
Well, then you become like a physician, sometimes people will, if you hit it, on something vitally important to them, something with a presence, they might want more of that and
right,
stay in touch with you and
I'm hoping
start.
so. And
Yeah,
you guys giving me this opportunity to do this, I'm
right.
like ecstatic, because
Oh,
just
pleasure's
because of what
ours.
you, yeah, because of what you
Well,
do, and
we respect, admire, and we love all our guests. You're the first. So we're throwing it all into you right now.
oh, I'm
Yeah,
on the spot.
She's our favorite.
yeah, but you
Oh,
are extra special because you're not like this media person, the popular paranormal. You obviously are sincere, and metaphysical medium is something. Well, everybody's different, everybody's unique, but there's something special about that. And well, you go on.
Oh no, I was just I was thinking when you said she's not a media, you know, person. I had you put it, I forgot, but I was thinking
Yeah,
we had a discussion one time, some fellow students and I, we were talking about, once these mediums get very, very famous, and now you've got a room with first a couple of hundred people, then a couple of thousand people, then you've got 10,000 people that came there to see you do readings, and it doesn't happen to work that night.
oh yeah, you just
Nothing's coming to you. What do? You fake
right.
it. And that's how people run into trouble.
Yeah, yeah,
Anybody, that's been caught faking things is, I mean,
yeah.
I like what you're doing. You're just using it for people, not for, come and see me, buy 10 tickets, bring your friends, you know, in small gatherings. Yes. How
Right.
could you hear anything with like 10,000 people in the room?
you're
I,
being
I
bombarded
couldn't.
I don't know how
It's
to do that.
with all this
I don't
information.
know.
I
I
don't
don't
get
know.
that. Yeah.
Maybe they're more skilled, more focused. I just
Maybe.
think for me it's too noisy.
I would think. I mean, you can't.
Going into a supermarket, I have to know exactly what I need, because
Yes.
I can't waste any time walking around, because I just get bombarded with people's feelings, and then all of a
Ah,
sudden you're like, oh, there's a family member following that person, and
yeah.
so I have to
Right.
like
Really? Wow.
blinders on, you know,
Yeah, it's
very
interesting
safe.
because your brother Joshin strikes me as more like the scientist, the empiric rather than an intuitive person. I don't know. He probably has a certain sensitivity, like from doing so many paranormal investigations. You and Joe are twins,
No, we're 6 years apart.
6 years apart. I'd heard that you were twins, and I could kind of see
Ah,
that.
You're a twin.
Yeah, I'm a twin, so I see things through twins' eyes.
we tease each other that he's my twin, 6 years apart.
Yeah, that was a labor of love, I should say.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah. I was the accident, my mother told me.
Oh
You know,
my
she had
God.
my oldest brother to number 10, which was Joe. There were anywhere between, I think it was, well, she was pregnant for 9.5 years straight. So she was
That's a
11
big
months to a
baby.
year and a half
Yeah.
from
Wow, what a
everything
rock
Yeah.
else.
Well,
star.
no, that is
I
something.
can't
Right?
That's so 19th
even
century.
imagine.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Oh.
That's something. Anybody else in your family have any sort of, that they've
Um,
shared anyway, that they shared with you or anybody
n
else in the family that?
not that they will admit,
Yeah,
my brothers and sisters have had paranormal experiences. You know, most of them would just chalk it off and not deal with it again.
yeah,
I know my oldest sister is an empath because she's always very sensitive, and I just you can tell.
yeah,
Another one wouldn't wanna admit
Oh.
it. My brother Wellington, who was also on the TAPS team at one point,
yeah, I met him.
he's seen and experienced things.
Yeah.
But other than that, Joe and I pretty much and Joe is actually developing his skills.
Wow.
Wow.
And I think it's just
Are you helping
because
him with that?
no, you know
No.
what? He's always been my rock. Like when I
Oh yeah.
go and do readings, I need somebody to keep me grounded just in case I like veer off somewhere.
Mm.
And I just think being around each other and because we're so close that we work well off each other.
Oh, that's
So he's developing, he gets more Polaroid pictures in his head. And he does feel and sense things. But I think it's growing. I think
wow.
it's growing
That's
for him.
fantastic.
No, I tell you, I've always liked Joe, just naturally drawn to him. I've always liked and respected him.
That's fun.
I've never had a crush on him.
You sure?
You, on the
Everybody's
other
had
hand,
it.
It must
Oh.
be those bright blue eyes.
Right,
a bit
yeah.
scary, that, yeah. But I'll tell you, Christine, every Ocean State Paracon that flares up and then it goes away. You know, I deal with it.
Deal with it.
Well, we
Hope
don't
not
want
anymore. Hope we get to work
My
together
goodness.
soon, like, more than this.
to.
Slater Mill.
Slater Mill, yeah, I
I've never
remember.
been there.
You know, I was looking you up to research you before the tonight's show, and I
Uh-huh.
found a message from you. We were exchanging messages about an investigation at Slater Mill.
Yes.
Boy, that's a bygone era because many people are learning. I'm no longer employed at Slater Mill, and none of the docents that were there are because Slater Mill.
Oh.
I'm sorry to break it. Slater Mill was acquired by the National Park Service,
Oh,
and
okay.
so it's national now. That's a
All right.
national organization. There's the good and the not so good about that. I think it lacks a certain charm that it
They
had.
do lovely tours. I mean, they
They
do
do.
fantastic
Oh, we
tours.
had a
Just not at
fantastic.
night and not in the dark.
Yeah, oh my God.
That was fun.
Yeah, that wasn't. Elise would assist me with the paranormal investigation, the
That's
ghost
one
hunting.
place, it figures. That's one place I haven't investigated yet.
Well, we could go in there and take a tour, but there'll be a ranger talking all the time, which is a good thing.
And the wheel pit is open, so.
And the wheel pit, which was the spookiest place, you were down in the wheel pit and something happened to you. The
Oh,
water
let's hear
wheel pit
it.
that powered the mill system.
What happened?
Well, he was setting up things for the night tour. He's like, "Oh, I forgot whatever." He said, "I gotta go back." He goes, "Do you want to just wait here?" I'm like, "Sure." So I sat quietly. Nothing was going on. It was very quiet. I'm just looking around. Nothing going on. So I closed my eyes. I was like, "Well, if I close, you can listen better when you close your eyes for some reason." So I just sat there. I'm like, "Well, I don't hear anything either." And I opened my eyes, and the lights had gone out. I didn't know.
Yeah, I did not do
Wow.
that.
So about a minute later, they came back on, and I'm like, "See that
And they
light
came
bulb
on
over
then.
there?" I said, "That went off for a little while. Does that usually happen?" He's like, "No."
No, that's
And
unusual. We had
you
a
were
lot.
by yourself? See,
Yeah.
things like that, even though I do what I do, lights go out when I can't see, I'm still a little afraid. But
I
yeah.
knew she'd be okay
I
there,
think
but
he was on his way back.
it's fun to be a little scared as long as you're in a relatively safe place. I mean,
Exactly.
we get bummed out when we can explain it. Like we have in the headquarters of the Johnston Historical Society, we hear disembodied footsteps coming up the wooden stairs. Well, I just heard one a little while back. You heard a click. That was it, and it go bump bump. But we can explain that because the planks, the boards, the wooden steps, they expand and contract. It's just
Right.
that grain of wood.
It
you know,
happens
conducive to
every
that.
time. It can't be.
And it can be a half
You
an hour
know,
later, and you'll
yeah.
hear our footsteps where contracts again, walking up the steps.
Because you never hear them going down when we're
Right.
upstairs.
Yeah, we could
You
give
know what I
ghost,
mean? You always hear it in the same
we could
direction.
give ghost tours here.
We could. Actually, we could have Christine come and touch some of our stuff and tell us where it came from.
Yes,
Yes,
take all the labels
absolutely.
off.
Oh,
And
I
Name
love
it.
it.
try to
I
remember
have an
which
open
one.
schedule right now, so you
Hey,
name it.
awesome.
Really, seriously, if you want to come and check it, you might, you don't even have to, we won't play a guessing game. If you could just tell us what you're feeling, what you're
Yeah.
receiving from
I would
certain
love that.
I've got
I
some
would love that,
pictures
really.
that, old pictures of people and maybe we could take her in the woods. That sounds really weird, but
Wow. What are you gonna do with me in the
I
woods?
found out
all about
about
experimentation.
I found out about this accident that happened in
Oh.
Snake Den right off Hotford Avenue.
That's an
Those
egregious,
woods
Okay.
where Dame Farm is.
Uh,
It's-
Hotford Avenue, Brown Avenue in
I
Johnston.
know where Hartford Avenue is.
Yeah,
but-
it's a nice park.
okay.
But I found out that I just found a newspaper article clipping somewhere that a couple of men had gone in there in 1872 to chop wood, and it was cold out, and they had lit a fire under a rock overhang. And the poor guys, I guess the rock had water in it, and it broke off and trapped them. It was like a 4-ton rock, they said.
Oh,
One guy died immediately. One didn't, but he was trapped, and he still had his axe in his hand, so he did himself in.
This is not a pretty story. It's a true story, though.
I was trying to figure out where the rock was.
We have candidates for what that setting might be, but we don't know.
And it happened over 100 years ago, so you're going to look for a big piece of rock sticking out of the ground. You know what I mean? To look for it physically is kind of difficult. And I was like, oh, maybe somebody could pick up on when this happened.
With scanning an environment or psychometry, I think, Christine, the time would have to be a factor.
Okay.
A difference between a century, 130 years ago, or 150 years ago, and 1,000 years ago, just to round it off. Does that make a real difference? Can you still pick up on something from a more remote past time?
You know what? I think the furthest I've ever been was at the Payne House back in when Joe and I were doing a read of the room, just back in the day where I want to say 1930s, 1940s. That's pretty much the furthest I think I've ever been back touching an object or
wow.
being in a. There was one time when I was in the Payne House, as a matter of fact, and I saw, when I looked at the room, half of it was like black and white, and the other part was color. One was a cowboy, and the other person was in again 1940s. It was
Oh, wow.
crazy. It was like two different things. I'm like, why am I seeing that?
Wow.
But then thinking about maybe the overlapping.
Yeah, you were reading layers.
Yeah.
That's happened at that house in Harrisville, Rhode Island, Round Top Farm, that they, of course, refer to as the Conjuring House. I'm trying to get away from saying that. But people have had, including myself, and I'm not a visionary person, people have experiences there where they actually look back into another time. Mrs. Perrin, Carolyn Perrin, and I believe this is legitimate, she walked into what's now a parlor. It was the dining room then. She walked in there and saw, and the house was built in 1736. She saw two men seated at a table, and they had tankards she took to be pewter tankards. They were dressed in vintage clothing, like perhaps 2 centuries before.
Wow.
These two men seated at the table looked at Carolyn Perrin, and she looked at them. They saw her. So for that brief moment, several seconds, Carolyn Perrin of the 20th century, she was the ghost to those onlookers, those men from the past.
Wow.
Who is this? They must have been thinking, this, scantily clad, this near naked wench. And she saw them as ghosts, and then they faded away. I had an experience, and Elise knows about it. She was there. It was my singular experience, but it's when Corey and Jen Heinzen had the closing on the house in June of 2019, and they invited me, and of course I brought Elise. She was new to them then. And I went into, that same room, the parlor room. Now that's rectangular mirror, that sizable mirror. I think that's the same mirror that was there when the parents owned this house. And Norma Sutcliffe, the successive owner, she had that mirror there. I said, yep, that's the same mirror. So I went, I'm going to see my reflection for the first time in a number of years. I'd been there since the original investigation.
Right.
But I looked in that mirror, This is so true. I saw myself at the age of 18. I mean, just suddenly I was trans, and that's how old I was when I first went to the inaugural paranormal investigation of that house.
Wow.
And I'm looking, and I said, Elise, Corey, I went, no, it won't be here when they get here. I just know it won't. Uh, all I can do is watch this, memorize it, say, I'll never forget it. I won't think it's a trick of the light. And my reflection was moving with me.
Right.
But it had shoulder length, reddish blonde hair.
Oh my
I
goodness.
wish I had
I
seen
want to
that.
see a picture of that.
I mean, I was like, better looking, yeah, slimmer. I mean, I was a hot looking 18-year-old. I can say that because
Still
the
hot,
room
you're
was
still
fast for
hot.
me. But I was seeing myself, and I had long sideburns. Just the 70s, even the
Oh,
women
yeah.
had
Mutton
sideburns.
chops.
And I looked at and I'm moving. I spent 3 minutes or so with that mirror, and I said, I will never forget this. It is not a trick of the sunlight or any lighting inside. It's happening. It's moving with me. I have my modern, red polo shirt on, and I'm me, but me younger. And finally, I said, I can't stay here longer. Boy, and in their bathroom, they had a full length mirror. That's still there. What a letdown! I said, whoa.
Oh.
Looking at a photograph, things really have changed that much. But I mean, I was looking at myself. This wasn't a flash, illusion. This is full 3 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah, and our friend and journalist Mike Ricksecker, he tried that. Now he got some distortion. His face seemed to blur and alter, but he didn't turn younger. Just strange things were happening.
I don't know. You guys are upstairs doing investigating upstairs, and I was like, I'll stay down here. And I just sat there staring at the mirror, like Harry Potter in the mirror of Erised. I'm like, show me, and it didn't
Oh my
work.
goodness.
No, like mirror on the wall. I can understand. I like
I just
staring
went
at you
and
too.
read a book. Stop it.
No, that was an EVP. You weren't supposed to hear it. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Now, Christine, angels. You communicate with angels. I don't know how else to put it. Commune with angels. You're perhaps an angelologist. I don't know. I'm a demonologist, so this is the flip side.
Yeah, good and evil. See,
Ah,
works both ways. We can help each other.
me in the middle.
Yeah, I don't know if you mean angels in the sense of celestial beings in a literal sense or metaphorical.
No, I just that I know I do have. I call them my angels, whether it's my angels or my guardians. I was once told that I had 4 guardians, and they were Japanese, but I guess he just assumed Japanese because
Because
just assumed. However, I do believe I have my mother, which is always here on this side, and I do have 3 females on this side, but I don't know who the 3 are on this side. I just know their family lineages. Does that make a part of my? I don't know, but I never see them. I only see my mother. My angels when I always see numbers too, and they always stuck it in my head. And Tiffany, again, she taught me about, looking up angel numbers. And I found this site that I follow. It's called sunsigns.org. And it's been on target every morning after I make my morning coffee and I meditate. I ask, the divine heavens to send me a sign what my day is going to be and to support me and show me what I need to do for today. And they usually show it to me in numbers. My numbers usually come in 3s. A lot lately, it's been coming in 4s. And it's just because my life is progressing, and it's just I can't explain it. I can't explain what I'm going through.
Are these numbers that just kind of pop into your head, or
Yes,
numbers you happen to notice? Driving down the street, see a license plate, see a clock, see a.
After I'm clear and I'm centered, when I ask to communicate, they communicate with me in numbers by showing me numbers. So then once I get my numbers, I'll go to my little site and I'll try to look it up. And at first I didn't believe it until it was on target with everything. Like, how does it do that? And I just put my belief out there, and I I was troubled. I had a lot of trouble in my past, you know,
Yeah.
and I was looking for insight. And like I said, I got pushed in this direction.
Yeah.
Something just triggered, and I'm being guided. I totally believe it wholeheartedly. Hey,
Hey, what's going on?
what's
Speaking of
going
guardian
on
angels,
here?
wow.
Right?
Who summoned me?
Ooh.
Someone summoned me.
I didn't
You know,
touch
Feel
you.
your presence.
yeah, you have to see Ken on the show through a FLIR lens. Then you can make
Yeah, something like that. Hi, Chris. How you doing?
Hi, Captain. What's up?
I wanted to pop in real quick and tell everybody that you have to work overtime tonight
I do. Okay.
because we're going to go a little bit longer because I got some questions I'll put up when you're ready that people have asked. And I think there's a couple of good ones here. So if you go a little over tonight, we can do whatever we want. We own the joint.
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So
All right.
whenever you're ready, I'm out.
I'm
Bye.
We're delighted to. Thank you. Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain. Yeah. But yeah,
That's
no, he
cool.
comes on like the Wizard of Oz and he gives some
Right.
advice, and then
Like the
well, I know
wizard.
I saw him, didn't you? I heard him. Yeah, but that's a good point because we get so wound up in our conversation. Well, we do want to get to some questions from viewers, so we sometimes
There we
neglect
go.
that.
How do you view and apply the metaphysical world into your investigations?
Oh, just like anything else. First, I go in with that open mind. I'm very much old school investigator when I go in. I still just go in with a flashlight and a recorder. And wherever I feel something, I try not to touch too many objects because of if my gut doesn't feel right, then I won't approach anything. If there's something that I'm focused that stands out, then I'll go over and I'll touch it because I think a lot of the pieces that are in homes with people who have antiques, they hold a story, they hold vibration of memories, and sometimes that correlates with what's happening in that space and time. I hope I answered the question.
Me sitting here in a museum full of old objects.
Right?
Yeah, some of these drawers have maps and documents and deeds that are like the 1750s. So this is the real deal. It's the Historical Society.
Now, in the back of you, is there a room that you go, okay, I'm behind Carl now, and is there another door that's behind you that goes down into a hallway?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, on his side, it goes down the stairs.
Okay. Now, this is where my remote viewing comes into play. Sometimes stuff like that just happens. Okay, now down that hallway, two long curtains hanging.
We don't have them up. We had them up.
You had them
It's
up?
very
We put them up
interesting.
during yoga.
Yeah, we have a yoga class here on Monday nights in the studio downstairs, the meeting room. And what you say is startlingly accurate, but not there now. But a few weeks ago,
to keep the heat in the room.
Yeah,
we turn the heat on hot in there. We hang up the curtain over the doorway because there isn't a door. So they're long curtains.
In the room that's right behind Elise, I see a little doorway.
Yeah.
A wooden doorway. In that doorway, behind that door is a desk with a computer on it.
I'm at the desk with the computer on it. Yeah, but the laptop's sitting over there. Yeah.
No, the
other
other
kind of interpretively because there's a computer
behind you.
Yeah, there is a laptop over there.
And there's a monitor screen on the floor in there,
in that room.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
It's a busy place.
Right.
Busy as far as a lot of things around.
That one's a mess. The spare room. Yeah. Throw it in there. Need to have another yard sale.
Yes, I do hope you can come by, Christine. Now, let's see what we got here. If a truly gifted person is being overwhelmed by the ability, what can be done to help them control the ability or shut it down?
I'm always told, shut your boundaries. Boundaries, boundaries, boundaries. You're in charge of this space that's around you. I've always taught, put yourself in a bubble. physically think of yourself. Like at first I thought myself as like Mark
Oh
and
yeah.
Mindy. I'm probably
Yep.
going back way back, but Mark and Mindy, you
Yes.
just sit in a
And the
little egg,
orb.
right? There I
Yep.
am. I'm warping myself because that's my hard shell.
Ah,
Then someone said, "Oh, you know what? You want to deflect stuff?" Marty Haynes, she told me, "Think of yourself in a glass disco ball where there's all mirrors." And
that
so it
bubble.
just kind of bounces off everything. But yes,
Wow.
boundaries. And if I tell, I'm not allowed, I don't let my spirit show me any graphic faces. That's my one rule.
Oh, really?
If I do my readings, I say, if you're going to show yourself, I don't want to see any ugly. That's not allowed. So and if that happens, I usually see a younger version,
Mm.
or that I just see from those shoulders down. But yes, make sure close that boundary. You think give yourself a little round tape or
That's
whatever,
a
caution
good
tape.
advice for living people too. I
Yeah.
Yes,
mean,
yes.
I think it's a matter
I,
of convincing,
don't let people in your head.
convincing
no,
oneself that they can control that they can put up a barrier, a
you
shield.
can. You can. Just like men have this thing about tuning us women out. They have that power, when you start talking and the men just go, what? Oh, oh. We have the power to do that too. Just in the metaphysical type of way.
Well, Ethan Supernatural. Do you want to read that, Elise?
Sure. Has Christine ever worked with anyone else on Dead Air, Ken's team, Satori, Cody?
Oh,
You
yes.
know
I've
these
worked
folks,
with
but have you
Ken,
worked with them?
and I've known Satori since she was about 4 years old.
Aw.
And I've known Cody since I was on the team with him on Taps way back when. So
Wow.
yeah, I work with some incredible people, and I'm telling you, everything that's happened to me, and I say this to you on live stream, everything I've ever learned. Oh my God, I'm gonna get emotional.
You're free to here. Yeah, please do.
um, Taught me everything I know, and I know the people who support who have supported me
Hmm.
and really tested me, and
Really.
I'm always forever grateful, forever, for
Wow.
all my experiences.
Yeah,
It's
that's
brought me a
good.
good life.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We're
That's
modified by the
fantastic.
people we care for and who care for us.
that's one thing about our paranormal group. Um,
Yeah.
you get some really close knit people. You build a
Yeah.
connection because you can't help it. Um, I only feel myself when I'm around like minded people. It's hard to
Oh,
be me.
Yeah.
It's hard.
yeah, no,
Sorry.
I can
No,
see. No, this is wonderful. We're here to learn. We're here to
said we wanted
experience,
to meet the real you, and we
and you're giving us the real you.
Yeah.
Well, I could.
There's nothing, no flies on me. I'll tell you like it is.
Oh, we have another question. This is by Sarah Yosef. The
Yes.
etheric world seems to be a sea of a type of energy with its own types of entities. When you use your mediumship, like in the cases of automatic writing, how do you set conditional invitations? I think I know what she means by that. Conditional invitations.
Yeah, I'm not sure what she means by that.
like just certain people, or
Yeah,
just certain parameters for that one person, or
yeah.
It's like when I do automatic, usually my automatic readings are just what I hear,
Mm.
voices, tidbits, sight. That's when I usually do the automatic writing. Just like my sketches. My sketches, if um, a spirit makes themselves known to a point where they're like right in my face, and I can't. You, I started when that started to happen. I had to sketch everyone down to give acknowledgement, and then
Oh,
once I made the acknowledgement on paper, they would leave me alone. So that's
Right.
when I incorporated doing that in my readings, because it doesn't always happen. If I do a reading, it doesn't necessarily I'm gonna draw a picture for you,
mm.
things like that. It's just whatever happens.
And I believe Sarah was referring to filtration, like, if you got a baddie coming in, like a spirit that's especially strong, may want all your attention, all your time for a session, and
Uh-huh.
splodges out, other reception.
Oh
Especially
yeah,
invasive
if
spirit.
I have, like I said, if it gets to a point where I'm uncomfortable, that's why it's good to have someone with you when you do readings. in cases like that, and that's where Joe comes in. If
Yeah.
I tell him I'm going to do a read, but I don't got a good feel, he will keep an eye on me so I don't go over a certain line or a certain
Yeah.
point. Because sometimes it's hard to control, you know.
Wow.
Yeah, aggressive spirits sometimes can be kind of harsh, and I try to do my best to keep them away.
Yeah, well, just like like people, somebody sits next to you in a plane, and you want to be polite, and I'd like to invite you to my church, and I'll tell you why. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but sometimes it makes for uncomfortable encounters.
Oh. What is
I
it?
wasn't poking at her eye or anything.
Oh, it's my feather.
It's her purple
There was
feather.
another.
It's a purple feather.
There was a nice comment here from Denise. It says, it's truly a gift when you're surrounded by people where you don't have to censor yourself or worry that they'll be scared away.
Yes, Denise.
You be yourself.
Yeah.
Christina's being herself.
Yeah, that's
happily so.
I'm in my pajamas. I told you.
You can be much more yourself than that.
So what else?
Let's see.
No, I'm sure we have many more questions.
A unnamed person says, love New Zealand stayed up late to watch you, so you must know who that is.
Yes, that is my granddaughter. She's 2.5, but I'm sure her mommy did it.
Oh,
yeah.
Nice.
She calls me Zuma.
Oh, that's
She's
adorable.
watching you, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, hi, Zuma. Hi, baby.
Oh.
I wish you could see her.
Let me go through. See, Ken has too much faith in me when I'm doing this.
He thinks you're one. Well, that's because you've been shining.
I have faith in you.
Where did it go?
Yeah, I do
Oops,
in her too.
Missed it. Oops, I just turned them off.
Nope.
Oh, there's comments up there somewhere. I don't know. There was a thing with a star, but I can't find it anymore.
Yeah.
Wow. My gosh, this is so interesting.
Yeah, fascinating. I could keep you on.
So what is the best thing a person can do should they want to? I mean, I know you're not just gonna, become psychic tomorrow, but if somebody wants to start to develop such an ability to see if it's even possible for them, what would be like the first step they can do? What kind of a meditation is best to get you into that?
You know what? It's funny. I told Joe this. I said, you know what? They're going to ask me, and I'm really not going to know. It was just an interest, and I had access to Tiffany. I had access to, obviously the internet, listening to different people, different kinds of exercise. You have to pick something that's good for you.
Right.
Some people like to meditate, sitting, I don't know, at their favorite spot. Other people like to do it while they're laying in bed but not falling asleep.
Right.
It just depends on where you are.
Because I had gotten a book on remote viewing, and I said I'm gonna follow this. I had lessons. I forget which guy it was. One of the very famous guys.
And you were experimenting with that, yes.
No, I didn't get past chapter 1 because chapter 1. You're gonna laugh. Chapter 1 says to undress and stand in full of a full-length mirror. So you know what your body looks like. So when you're going to, get up and go, this was for not just remote viewing, but for astral traveling. And it says, see what your body looks like. See, I was like, no, I don't think so. I have to find another book.
I'll skip one myself. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it's becoming acclimated. If you convince I think that for me, that's a lot of problem with psychic reception, believing it, convincing myself. And I usually have to hear it from somebody else or be reading a good tome on that and, and hear other people's experience. Then I believe. I
used to think I could fly. I think I flew once.
How'd you explain?
Because I used to watch The Flying Nun on TV.
Oh my God.
And I made myself a hat. And I believed I could do it. And I jumped off the fence. And I think I caught air. I believed it. Maybe we
Wow.
should try that again.
Yes.
I don't
We just
know.
gotta,
Maybe not.
you gotta exercise it. I must
Almost 60-year-old
develop my,
ankles.
I must develop my trust. I must develop my trust.
Yes, let's do that trust
I'll
exercise.
catch
Okay,
you
where
if
we
you go
catch
off that
each other.
stool.
Yeah, which is quite possible.
Yeah.
I've had very vivid dreams. They are lucid dreams, you could say, of flying. I haven't had one in years. So it's been about 5 years, and I love them when I do. And but I'm in a real place that I'm familiar with, like the east side of Providence, and I find myself running down one of the hills, and then I'm skipping more, and then I'm like floating for a yard. It's not like way up in the sky, but I'm all of a sudden I'm defying gravity, and I say now I can do this, and I get it to the point where I can actually, go on, and it is so real that it's hard to believe it's not real.
Right.
I don't know if that's because where I grew up, my parents' house they had an embankment in their house, and you used to almost float running down it. We did. Something encoded that into me. I don't know why I'd have those dreams. Yeah, but I dreamt it, and when I wake up, it's like I believe this. I thought this was real, and I'm convinced I can do it. But maybe it's because I used to ride my bike down a steep hill. I don't know what caused that, sparked that, engendered that within me.
Questions.
Yes, we should get to more questions.
Denise asked, do you currently have a favorite place to investigate or a spot that you'd really like to go?
Oh. Wow.
Within the continental United States. No, anywhere.
Actually, the Stanley Hotel, I think that would be a place I'd like to go. I haven't gone yet and like to go. My favorite place that I think I had the most experience, and I wish we could go back, and this is when Ken was a part of this. We went to the Belcourt Castle.
Oh,
Oh,
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just so much to love about that place.
Oh my goodness, that was my first experience of getting touched.
Oh, really?
On my ear by Benny, the caretaker up in his room.
Ah, I think Elise had a special tour. They were doing it wasn't like a standard tour, didn't you?
I had a tour when the new owner took it over, and it was exciting to see the place with no furniture, and it basically, a lot of the rooms were empty, and they had the artisans working on the ceilings, working on the walls. But I mean, it was nice to see the architecture, but it lost all of its charm. I mean, apparently somebody said she chased all the ghosts out, so so it's not even worth going back.
Skeptics can do that,
but I don't know. It's just not like it was.
Christine, you saw Titanic with Leonardo DiCaprio?
Oh my God, no. Sorry to say. Sorry, I didn't mean to say it like that, but
not your favorite film?
Do I have my favorite film?
Well, I wasn't going there, but you can say your favorite film. Yeah,
oh, I'm sorry. I thought that's what you said.
We've wiped out the whole question now, so it doesn't matter. No, I was just going to ask, but if you're familiar where they go, they do this wonderful thing in cinematography. That is a selling point for the movie to me, where they show the ruin of actual footage of Titanic and recreations, how it looks in modern times, dissolving into the ocean. But then they go back, they show the grand stairwell underwater, and they go back in the imagination, and they show what it would have actually looked like, how it appeared. And that's wonderful the way they do that. They go back into time. Is it like that for you at all? Like, say you went into an old mansion or a hotel. Does it unravel for you? Do you look into that previous reality, which still exists on some level, I think?
Yeah, I'm gonna say yes. Like Pain House. Pain House is that's one of the most active places that I've been, and that I'm connected to now because I've been there so long. But that was the place where I saw the two different day and age, and how it came into play. Like, I wish, I don't know if Ken even videotaped that night when Joe and I were going back and forth. It was crazy because it was like a movie. Like I was there in the room watching all this happen.
That's exactly what I was wondering, how it is for you.
It was, and we didn't know like it was happening. We were just feeling this stuff until it was like, okay, we had to wrap up, and it was like, wow, what just happened just then? You're like, yeah.
Yes, we did.
It's taped.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Spoiler, yes,
Spoiler,
we
pin
did.
flashes on. Spoiler alert. Yes, we did.
Oh,
Oh, good.
awesome.
I'd love to see that.
Awesome.
That'd be
Wow.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't think these realities, they dissipate, they get buried, like an old email or something, but they don't totally vanish. There's some reality to it. It was real, that time frame, and time, of course, is just a continual now.
Mm.
So I think it leaves impressions, and they can be read. It's not like a dream. It's something that was real, still is in a sense.
Maybe I just need to spend more time like in some of the same places.
Hmm.
I don't know.
You-
No,
Like, I used to go to the Conjuring House all the time, but like I went there to visit. I wasn't there doing investigations most of the time. Sometimes, depending on who was there and they're doing EVP and just, walking around the dark with flashlights. But for the most part, I'd just go and visit.
Mhm.
But I don't know.
I haven't been I've been on the property of the Conjuring House, but I've never been in. And just from sitting out in the parking lot waiting
oh
for
yeah.
my brother Joe, forget it. I was like, okay, there's things happening out here, Joe. Like,
Wow.
let's go, But if I have an opportunity to go there, I'd like to go.
I first went there in August of 1973, which might explain that strange apparition that was me
That
in the
was
mirror. August and September 1970.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. We got another spoiler alert.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
Ken.
What happened there? Ken came up again?
Yeah, he came up. Spoiler alert.
He just
No,
flashes on.
here's a good question that we didn't ask. How old were you when you first noticed this? And you said
Hi,
you were probably
Masha.
happy as a child, but
Let's see.
I've got that in mind.
Well,
Now it's going to be answered.
Well, what's 13 years from 52? My math is
Okay, take 52
40.
and go back. Yeah,
Around
take
40.
around 40, 39. You take 50, take off 10 years, and that's 42, and then 3 more. So around 39.
about that.
Wow.
About that. It's just really when, like I said, my abilities coming through just recently.
Wow.
I'm going to tell you something that for the longest time prior to, like when I said to you, I know now that I was an empath. I was going to therapy for a while because I thought something was happening because I was hearing all these voices. And my therapist at the time kept telling me that was just my mind playing tricks on me. And then I'm like, well, oh yeah, then why do I see a dead guy standing over here in your corner? And he looked at me and said,
Yeah.
excuse me? And I'm like, you have an old man standing in the corner. I don't know what he wants. And he changed the subject and he wanted to prescribe some medication for me. And I'm like, no.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm not a pill popper.
Yeah. No.
No. So we
Wow.
I changed doctors and no longer see him anymore.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people they're trained to, and they have to think in those terms because those are the rungs through life. That's their grip on reality. Not that there's no value to psychiatric evaluation, but
Right.
they have to think in that narrow frame. I call it cocoon thinking.
Well, I can't believe every person that they talk to, but there should be other signs that, would prove that this person isn't just, seeing things. Was it hard to find someone who would, I don't want to say work with you, but,
Yeah.
understand what you were doing?
Do you mean by physician wise?
Just a therapist, even.
A therapist?
Just somebody you could
Believe it or
talk
not,
Counselor
my
therapy.
current doctor now, my primary care doctor, he took care of my mother, and in turn, he became my doctor. And I've always told him about my gifts, and he was always like very supportive until the day when he lost something, and they had moved something, the office to another location, and they were looking for a piece to his little, it was like a little thing, like a spine, piece of a spine, and it was showing the disc in the middle. But one of the disc had fallen out. So he says, we can't find the piece. We can't find the piece. And I said, well, Doc, go back into that room, right around the corner, in that box where Vanessa saw, look in it again, shake it. It's going to be in the corner. And he left the room, immediately left, and went around the corner, came back around, and he says, how did you do this?
Oh,
And
wow.
I said, I told you, Doc, we've been discussing this. And he's like, wait. They didn't see me leave the room, so they all knew I didn't
Yeah,
leave.
right.
And I had to shock him. And I've
Yeah.
seen him when he went to go listen to my heart by touching me, by tactile touch. I said, "Oh my God, Doc." I said, "Were you struggling with that bureau you were moving?" And he's like, "What do you, what do you mean?" I said, "You were pushing something yesterday and you had a hard time. Did you fix it?" And he's like, I was moving my bureau in my bedroom." And
Wow.
I'm like, "There you go, too."
Yeah.
So just things like that would pop
Oh,
up.
well, it's good. You know, you can have somebody who can.
Christine,
Wow.
can you find my prescription eyeglasses?
Yay.
Prescription eyeglasses.
Can you find
been
my
a while.
car title or the document that will lead to my car title, which I need now because I'm replacing the vehicle?
It's in your vehicle in the back trunk, underneath.
In your trunk?
In your trunk, underneath maybe the carpet. Is it in there, the paperwork?
Well, I'd have to see if the vehicle is still there because it was acquired. You
Unless
know.
it's in the crusher already.
Oh,
That would be unfortunate.
Well, I meant for something that could, even though the document, they say their records, the company was acquired by another company that 3 times over. So I can't get a hold of the documents that said I made all my payments and paid it off a couple of years ago, 2.5 years ago. But they can send a document that they can't find it. That'll be enough for the Department of Motor Vehicles.
And now, what do you think that the insurance company is going to say when you tell them, call the body shop, call the junkyard, tell them to look at the trunk? Because the psychic told me that the title is under the trunk. And you used to have a lot of junk in that trunk, so I don't doubt that she's right.
I could say my wedding ring is there and she's going to divorce me if I don't find it. By the way, while you're looking for the wedding ring, see if there's a paper in there too. Yeah. I need you like the flowers need the rain,
Oh, he's even got a voice.
Oh, thank you.
Well,
I almost started singing, like Celine Dion,
Get it on. Start singing it.
No.
No.
Well, Christina, I would love to have you here at the museum to look at some pictures and
wherever you are.
Message me time and date. Really, seriously.
All right.
Anytime.
All right.
Anytime.
We will be in touch.
Yes.
So it's almost 9:30 and he's starting to sing.
Nothing
So maybe time to go. We're so glad you spent this time together.
Carol Burnett.
He
He
needs
needs Marie Kondo. Yes. I will show you how to Marie Kondo your t-shirt.
Thank you for bringing us tears and laughter in pretty much equal measure. And a lot of insight and interest, it's fascinating.
Thank you. I
Yes,
am so happy. You don't know like the stress now that I have like off my chest because I've been waiting to talk to everybody
That
about
was
it.
actually
Not
our hope.
Tell people how they can get in touch with you.
Yes,
to get
go
reading.
to Facebook Messenger, do Messenger. You can reach me at my email address. I'll post it on my site. Something's wrong with my Facebook email. It won't let me change it. So I got to figure out how I can
I've
do
run into that before, yeah.
Yeah, they're changing things all around too with the business pages, and so
it's crazy.
I couldn't go back to my personal one.
Yeah, you might say it's metaphysical.
Meta.
I
like that.
switched it there.
Yeah, but I've had some, sometimes it bounces right back to where I was before when I'm trying to change a password or, change data on it. So.
If anybody has any problems, they can always contact us, and we will get them in touch with you.
Yeah,
no
Panoramic
problem.
Paranormal will show you the way to Christine Chin Downs.
Yeah, I like that. Chin down. No.
Actually, the only things we have coming up is Carl's going to be in Texas next
San
week.
Antonio, Texas.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I'll be there for 4 days altogether. I mean, the only thing I'm not looking forward to is doing it. No, it'll have its moments. It's
a Paracon.
You wonder about the effort, making the flight in time. But the way back, I said, oh yeah, we get to.
There he is. Oh, look at how dapper.
That's my Doc Holliday picture. That was Precious Blood Cemetery.
That was good.
Yeah, Ken. Thank you, gunslinger. But yeah, I'm not looking forward to like leaving, taking a flight at about 6:40 p.m. and arriving back in Providence at 8:20 a.m.
Wow.
It's just, I don't
Wow.
sleep well on. I
So
mean,
it's like Monday
I'll always
morning.
doze on a plane, but for that long to get a sleep cycle, and it just ain't gonna
It's
happen.
gonna be awful.
6-hour layover,
Oh yeah, that's long.
Yeah,
I haven't flown in a long while. I prefer to drive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. 6 hours isn't enough to leave the airport because you got to be back, but it's too long to just hang around.
Yeah, every time I take a long ride, you have one of those long trips. It involves a near-death experience.
Uh-oh.
It really does.
Gosh.
You think I'd be used to them by now, but you never really quite do.
No.
Well, Christine, I hope this is the start of a beautiful friendship, and we can,
Absolutely
keep in touch with you and have you visit.
Yes.
And so everybody knows that they can get in touch with Christine Downs.
Just look me up on Facebook.
Metaphysical Medium.
Yes. Yes.
And it really has been a pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, and I'm looking
learned a
forward to
lot.
the future.
I've learned a lot.
Yep.
I have to believe that I can do this at some point.
Yeah, and I'm trying to train myself to look into the webcam, the camera here.
I know it's over
when
there.
I want to look at you, our guest, I want to look over here all the time. So,
Yes.
it's like,
yeah, we'll get this set up somehow. I
Yeah.
got one of those ring lights over there now, or all lit up
it's
right
beautiful.
in our face.
Yeah.
Beautiful thing.
Take
To
all
get
the
a green
color out of my
screen and put
complexion.
some psychedelics behind us or something.
Yeah, well, you're dark and shadowy and moody now.
I don't know how my camera is doing this. I must have hit a
yeah,
setting.
yeah.
It's a very
Blurred in.
muted,
So anybody who hasn't yet,
Overtone.
make sure you subscribe to this channel to
Yes.
see everything that's coming up. There's a trippy.
trippy.
A lot of other shows on this channel also. So check out the lineup and the other nights. We're on every other Thursday night at 8 o'clock. And we do have a really interesting tech guy lined up for a couple of weeks from now. I want to verify with him that he's going to be here before I say
This will really
anything.
be people, eclectic interests, people that, guess they're into paranormal research, but just totally different from each other.
Oh, people
I love it.
things. People have their own opinions, and like I said, it takes all kinds. You can't just go in there with 5 psychics to fight with each other.
No.
You can't just go in there with a bunch of people with notepads taking notes and measurements. You can't just go in there with
It's a
5 spirit
collaborative
boxes.
issue. Effort.
Yeah, you need a little bit of everything and compare notes. And what did you find? And what did you hear?
No one's better than the other. And
No.
no.
Until we prove it.
It's a full spectrum, so to speak. We want, you can't just be old school has value to it.
There.
Yeah, I do that.
If it's a panorama.
If it's amusing to me, my landlady was going off about I'm Catholic, but I don't go to church or anything. I'm Catholic, but I'm Catholic. She said, I don't know how they wear, she's going on and on the other day. I don't know how they wear those horrible black, those black outfits they wear in the summer. They have to wear all the black. I said, that's a bad habit. You can get away. I said, yeah, they wimple about it a lot. And you can say anything and it's just, yeah.
Oh gosh. All right. Well, we're gonna let Ken go to bed now.
Yeah, but Christine has me all wound up now.
Thank
with
you
this
very much.
Oh
conversation.
yeah, I had like
Thank you
3
so
cups
much.
of coffee before I came on just to make
My
sure
goodness.
I stayed up.
Wow.
Well, it's been really fun.
Yes,
So
and
informative and
I'll be
enlightening.
talking to you soon. And thank you to everyone who wrote
Yes, our
questions.
wonderful
and
guest.
I-
All the questions and
I got
whoever
it
watched.
and I didn't get to say hello to you and everybody else who's been
We
here.
want
Thank
to
you
say
very much.
we wish we could take another half an hour just to say hello to everybody and answer some more questions, but we'll look through them and try to get to you.
We can do it again.
We could do it again.
Uh-huh.
All right.
Oh, that'd be
It's
wonderful.
a
This
date.
is fun. A lot of
All
fun.
right. Thank you very much, Christine.
You're
Have a
welcome.
good night.
Thank you,
Good night,
Christine.
everyone.